What's up, YouTube? I am the Vanilla Nerd, and today I want to talk about Batman. So, this is actually going to be my very first ever video essay, but it's about a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And basically, I'm just kind of bothered that Batman keeps being given solo films when I think one of the coolest aspects about him is how he works with other superheroes. Like how he's so different from all other superheroes. So, in short, The Lonely Knight is kinda lame. Now, to start off, I want to talk about why I like Batman as a superhero. And he's not my favorite superhero, but he is really cool. I think one of the things that makes him so cool is because he's one of the original superheroes. He was created back in 1939, and his story has had variations put on it and done so much that it's almost cliche now. You know, the death of his parents spurring him to become this superhero vigilante, which is fantastic. I think that's so cool. I also really like his abilities, his cool gadgets, his cool vehicles like the Batmobile and the Batcycle and stuff. I think his cape is cool, his look with the cowl and the cape and the utility belt. It's all really cool. He is a really cool superhero. But arguably his strongest thing as a superhero is the fact that he has no superpowers. He doesn't have superpowers, and yet he is a superhero. So Batman's not like other superheroes, primarily in the fact that he doesn't have superpowers. But to drive this point home, let's look at his comic book counterpart, Superman. Now, where Superman was raised by loving parents in Jonathan and Martha Kent, Batman was orphaned. Where Superman just gained his powers naturally because of his genetics, Batman had to work at them and spend years training. Where Superman views the world with hope and optimism, Batman views the world with cynicism and tries to inspire fear in his enemies. This isn't to say that I don't like Superman, but it's just to say that I really like how Batman is so different from typical superheroes. And I think that's fascinating. I think that's what makes his character so cool to me. So here I will acknowledge that this might just be a personal problem that I have, but it's kind of sad that Batman has only appeared with other superheroes in 2-ish movies in the last 10 movies that he's been in, which is pretty sad. Now, to be fair, I understand. When filmmakers hear no superpowers, they think, oh, I can do this. I don't have to worry about weird, wacky powers. I can figure this out. Now, slight tangent, but I do think it's funny that in filmmakers' efforts to not explain wacky superpowers, they will go to great lengths to explain the gadgets Batman uses. Some of these gadgets being so fantastical that they're even weirder than the superpowers that they were trying to avoid, which is just kind of funny. Now, to be fair to these filmmakers, no superpowers does mean that Batman is more human. I know it would be very hard to write for a character with invincibility or super strength, for instance. Not saying it can't be done, just saying that it'd be much harder. And it is easier for audiences to connect with someone like Batman. Another thing I want to say is that Batman is cool enough to have standalone films. Some of the best superhero movies out there are Batman all by himself against his impressive rogues gallery, facing off with one of them, and they don't have superpowers, and so it works great. But I think we should have more movies where Batman interacts with superpowered individuals, whether that's working with superheroes or fighting against a supervillain. Now, I will acknowledge that not all of Batman's villains don't have superpowers. Notably, Bane has super strength, Clayface can morph, and is really hard to hurt and damage. Poison Ivy controls plants, etc., etc. But for the most part, these villains haven't appeared in Batman's adventures, and they've focused more on the crazy and the psychotic and the villainous aspect. Even characters like Bane, who showed up in The Dark Knight Rises, didn't have his super strength. He just was stronger, and he had training from the League of Assassins. So, yeah, kind of sad. I will also acknowledge that I do know that Ben Affleck played Batman with the Justice League and in Batman v Superman, and he did a great job. And I do like Ben Affleck's Batman, and I did really enjoy what little brief glimpses we got of the cool Batman interacting with other superheroes in those two films. But still, 2 out of 10 in 30 plus years is a pretty bad bar. Pretty bad indeed. And I think we could do better. Now, thankfully, I don't just have to look at live action. The animated universe of DC Comics is fantastic and phenomenal. I love Justice League. I love Justice League Unlimited. They're both fantastic shows that show Batman working with these other superpowered individuals, and it's great. It's everything I could want. Also, there's 2 animated movies I'd like to highlight. The first is Justice League War. Now, if you haven't seen the film, I'm going to be giving some light spoilers to it, but basically this is an origin of the Justice League. It's a retelling based on the New 52, and it's fantastic. At the beginning of the film, Green Lantern meets Batman for the first time, and it's great. He's trying to figure out who Batman is, until finally he realizes, wait, you don't have flight, you don't have super strength, are you just a guy in a bat suit? And it's fantastic. And yet, throughout the entire film, Batman, who is the one guy without superpowers, is the one who's making the smartest decisions, who's fighting off the enemy the best and most competently, and he's the smartest. And it's just great. It's Batman at his finest. Now, the next movie I want to talk about is Justice League Doom, and I love this film. Again, some pretty big spoilers. If you haven't seen this film, make sure to give it a watch. But if you don't care about spoilers, in short, Batman has files on all the Justice League members and how to defeat each and every one of them, what their weaknesses are, even down to the psychology of how to break them. It's fantastic. It's so good. And the villains get a hold of these files and they use it to take down the Justice League. And so, hence, it's their doom. So, I really like this film. And again, it just shows how Batman doesn't trust anyone. And he's so smart, he's come up with contingency plans for every single member of the Justice League. It works so well. And it just shows how different he is from all these other superheroes. So, in conclusion, is Batman the only superhero without superpowers? No, there are multiple. But he is the most famous superhero without any superpowers. And that's awesome. I love when the Justice League fights this arrogant enemy who can withstand Superman's punches, Flash's speed, Cyborg's lasers. But the one thing he's not ready for is Batman's intellect. And Batman will figure out a way to defeat him, whether using all on his own or exploiting a weakness that then Superman or Wonder Woman or someone else can take advantage of. It's fantastic, and I love that aspect to Batman. So, in lieu of my thoughts surrounding this video, I am stoked for the upcoming Flash movie, where we get to see Batman working with other superheroes and fighting against a supervillain. My greatest hope would be that he's the one that outsmarts the big bad evil guy in the end. That would be so fantastic and so cool. I also know in the DCU, Batman will be a huge character moving forward, and my hope is that we can have less of a lonely night. Well, that's all I got. Catch you guys later.